Hey everyone, this is Kim O'Neill from the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show, and you're listening to the Going North podcast with the hilarious Dom Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his show so you don't miss any episodes, and remember, every day is always a new day.
And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as the Going North podcast, we got one heck of a treat for you today, my friends. I got to thank my good buddy, Miss TM herself, the trademark herself, Tammy Matheny, for hooking me up with this super special, awesome human right here. My goodness, like this lady right here, one heck of a powerhouse. Like if resumes had freaking six-pack abs, she'd have eight-pack abs. Because this wonderful lady right here, 17-year coaching veteran, recruiting expert, served in the sports ministry in Costa Rica. And she even has penned articles for the National Christian College Association of America. And to put the icing on the cake, I call her Miss Double J because she is a certified speaker, trainer, and coach for both the John Gordon and John Maxwell team. So hashtag GMT DNA. So let's give it up for Miss RL herself, Miss Renee Lopez. How you doing today, Renee?
Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be here with you all.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You're here. That's right. Welcome to the danger zone, the land of dad jokes, self-promotion, and of course, cupcakes.
I love it. I love it.
But it's all good though. All the cupcakes have the letter R on them.
Perfect. Especially this year as we're rebirthing after all of the things last year in 2020.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, oh, hey, you can come out and play just a little. Like, okay, all right, I'll take my 5 minutes and I'm gonna go out and play. Yay. I'm gonna build a snowman. Ah. Yeah. Yeah, but it ain't about pink penguins. It's about the radiant Renee. So mind filling in any cavities I missed about you? Because I'm pretty sure I forgot a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I was a college coach for 14 years. I was a D1 head coach, D2 head coach, and NAI head coach. And I also spent some time as an NCAA compliance director. And I now do recruiting education with helping kids with the college recruiting process. And I teach them what to do and how to contact coaches and how to get athletic scholarships and, really try to help kids with the process and their parents and everyone else who's around them. And on the other side of my business is doing leadership development, like you mentioned, with the John Gordon team, as well as the John Maxwell team. So I'm honored and excited to be able to help young people in a different avenue after stepping out of college coaching and being able to help them in different ways off the field. So it's been quite a journey, but being an author as well has been quite a journey too. So it's been a whirlwind, but COVID has made things interesting too.
Yeah, that's one word for it. Interesting. Yes, indeed. Definitely interesting. Indeed. My goodness. So with helping out the youth, my goodness, at a time when you were fresh out the womb, you were actually an athlete yourself and you were able to transition into coaching because of an injury. So how was that transition period? Because I'm pretty sure that was hard for you back then.
Absolutely. I had, gone to play and, growing up all throughout, that was my life was being in athletics and, went on to play in college and ended up getting injured. And, it was interesting because, you're such an identity is so defined as being an athlete when you grow up that way. And then all of a sudden it's taken away from you. So you don't know what to do and you're very lost for a long time. And, God was definitely working on me during that time and, created a little bit of opportunities for me to see, that my identity could be helping others around me in maybe a different avenue. And so got into coaching high school, got into coaching club, became a director of coaching for a club. And that's really what all jump started me to getting onto being on staff at the University of Florida, working with their women's soccer team and working under a great coach, Becky Burley, and who's been fantastic and winning national championships and such as well. And then it really just jump started me into being a coach. And, now I'm a coach of a different world, but not necessarily on the soccer field, but, in different ways and helping kids get to whatever their next step is in their journey.
Yeah, coached indeed. That's right. That's right. Because I heard you had one heck of a legendary coaching career, taking a 0-19 team to freaking explosive results.
Yes, we did. It's definitely a challenge when you take over programs that are, trying to dig themselves out of a hole. And but the idea, you and I have a mutual friend, Tammy Matheny, and Tammy actually worked with my team as well in just a mental game perspective and the idea of having a 1% better every day. And John Gordon speaks about this is, how can you have it so you're helping people move forward and be something that's attainable and that's something they can actually grasped today, as opposed to big dreams we all think about we want to do in our life, but how do we manage today in terms of our dreams? And it's the idea of 1% better. And Tammy talks about this as being a kaizen moment, that's continuous improvement, and that you want to have a mentality of getting better every day. And so it's interesting when you take over a new program wherever you are as a coach. I've moved up in the ranks a couple different times at different locations at different programs, and that theory and that philosophy is universal. And so if we can all take it going forward, it translates to everything we do. Is I wake up every day, how can I make my business 1% better? How can I help somebody else today? And how can we also look in terms of our fitness or eating better or whatever it may be? That I think we all need to take that mentality going forward. And that was really a focus we had in when you inherit a program that's 0-19.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure it's like, oh, crap. All right. Guess I'm climbing 5 mountains on this one. Like, forget the one mountain. Like, I gotta climb 5 of them. I need a buddy too. Like, let's get Tammy in here and be team retweet Renee and Tammy.
Yes, Tammy was phenomenal in helping our teams get a mindset that's the right way and to adjust and to really move forward and looking towards what the future would be and setting goals that were attainable, but also stretching them too.
That's right. The magical stretching. That's right. Rubber bands and yoga, all the stretching indeed. So, and speaking of goals and stretching, do you think there may be a big mistake that a lot of folks, especially folks you probably coached in the past at the start when it comes to making their goals? There any mistakes you see folks making when it comes to goal setting?
I think if they're not attainable, but also they're not measurable, a lot of people use the SMART acronym, making sure they're specific and measurable, attainable. And thinking through that also is that there's a timeline on them. So not just setting goals that, oh, one day I want to write a book or one day I want to get this internship, but like, what does that actually look like? And what are the steps to getting there? And so, your friend and mine, John Maxwell, speaks about this in the laws of growth and the idea of, we need to stretch ourselves, but making them specific steps that are going to be written down and also being stuff that takes you out of your comfort zone. And that's really the idea of growth. And, we can stretch ourselves and move towards our goals, but it's not going to feel comfortable most of the time. And so I think that's the biggest thing is people say, well, I don't want to do that because that feels a little scary or that's intimidating. I'm a coach. I had never written a book before in my life. I didn't know what that process looked like. And you get the right experts and the right mentors around you to help you in a process. I think, and you're going to be able to take the right steps. But I think a lot of people fail at that, no matter what line of work you're in, or if you're a student, or, if you're just maybe even, trying to think about changing careers. The idea is important for you to really look and say, I'm going to stretch myself. But the key part is I need to make sure there's mentors around me to help guide me and direct me in the right steps to be taking. And even though it's scary, I'm still going to take that step. And, John Maxwell speaks and says, all things that are worthwhile are uphill. And so knowing that things aren't going to be easy, but it's going to be a process and that you're going to commit to the process. And that's where that mentor accountability definitely comes in. And those who don't have accountability and those who don't have mentors typically don't do as well in terms of reaching the goals. And so, I think it's really important that we really look towards that in the process. And if you're really looking to stretch yourself, pick up a copy of John Maxwell's book on the laws of growth, because it will definitely make you think a lot differently.
Oh yeah, I can say that again. Definitely. Funny enough, one of my fellow JMTers, they actually Clyde Middleton, he actually was even a guest on the show a couple hundred episodes ago. He's actually running a mastermind based off of the 15 laws of growth, and it's been Definitely amazing. Folks have been growing like big, wonderful trees in the giant forest.
It's awesome. It's great. We love that all of our John Maxwell teams members are really trying to push people in a time in the world where people are scared, people are unsure of the future. And, a lot of great things are going to be born out of this past year. And I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like, not only with my business, but also a lot of my friends and family. And like you said, a lot of fellow JMTers.
That's right. Hashtag JFT DNA. That's right. Yes, indeed. That's right, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, my goodness. And speaking of coming out of this pandemic, what's probably been the greatest gift that you received out of this pandemic thus far, since you're one of the blessed and lucky folks to still be alive to tell the tale?
I think perspective. I literally went from traveling all the time and barely sleeping in my own bed because I was in a hotel, or traveling for work, or even just traveling locally. I live in Central Florida, and so I travel, and I used to speak in multiple high schools a month, and that definitely changed. And so now, for over a year, I have been in front of a computer screen on Zoom, which has been quite interesting. But you learn to adapt, you learn to be flexible. And I think that's given me a good perspective of where can you make an influence, and where can you help serve people that are in need, and how do we help them in ways that we may not be in front of them physically, but what can we do for that, and how do we serve people around us? And I think that's something I've gained a lot of perspective of. And I can say that I do appreciate the lack of spending money on gas and travel and miles on my car, for sure. But I do miss definitely getting out, and being able to interact with people. And for me, I lost 17 speaking gigs in a span of 2 weeks just because of it, of everything that was going on and everything being shut down. And God definitely provided opportunities to speak to different people all across the world. And it's been great to be able to get the message out of what I do for recruiting process and helping kids, but also in leadership development, and being able to speak, in avenues that I never probably would have been able to, just because of scheduling. And so there's some pretty cool projects I have coming up as well that are going to be in the next, 6 months that we'll be releasing. And they never would have happened if it weren't for everything going on in the pandemic, and schedules aligning because everybody was stuck at home.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Just rubbing your hands together like a big guy at a buffet. Like, yeah, well, BC before COVID, of course, like a fat guy at a buffet is like, yeah, gotta rub my hands together. Y'all about to get some new leadership development. That's right. From the Renee Lopez, about to change your life, about to change the game. Literally.
Absolutely. We try to do our best we can.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a wonderful project. So I'm assuming a new coaching program, or is it something totally different? Or is it G14 classified?
Some of it is classified, but I think you're going to definitely see some growth and opportunities for some coaching avenues that are going to be happening with group coaching and trying to help some kids. We have some really awesome experts that we're going to be bringing into our web series of experts over the next few months, and am really excited to share some of their information. And like I said, it would have never happened if it weren't for all of us being shut down and in lockdown mode. And it's really exciting to see where it's going to go, and what we're going to do. So there's a couple of them that I can't speak on quite yet, but some really cool, exciting things coming over the next few months.
Ah, beautiful indeed. Beautiful indeed. Well, there's a lot of things I like about you is the fact that one of the easy thing, we both got the JMT DNA, both part of the John Maxwell team. We're both fans of Kaizen, or as Tammy calls it, Kaizen, with a continuous improvement. Been in love with that philosophy, I think it's since 2011, 2012, since it first popped up on my radar. And most of all, you're a fellow child of the king, a fellow Christian. So I love fellow Christians to always have an opportunity to share how they came to know the Lord Jesus Christ, because, it's always good to have that opportunity. So what led you to becoming a Christian, Renee?
Wow, that's very loaded. We could do about 4 hours of a conversation on that. But, I think, one of the areas for me was really, I grew up in the church, and, the idea was really owning my own faith versus my family's, and being able to really realize, what that meant, and what the sacrifices that Jesus made for me, not just for everyone. And it's just so easy to put that perspective out there. Oh, he just made it for everybody. And it's like, no, that actually insert your name into that phrase, and you say, wow, or you insert your name into scripture. And it really started to evolve for me really during my high school years and into my college years. That's why I enjoy really working with high schoolers and college age student athletes, because they're really discovering their identity. They're trying to figure out who they are in Jesus, and who God made them to be. And it's been really fun to do that, doing in ministry as well. But I look and I say, God really was working on me in the process, and really part of the time during my injury and having to have surgery, as well as understanding what that looked like in high school, and owning my faith versus, really something else that somebody else has just given me and provide information for me. So I think it was a long time going for sure, but, definitely been stretched along the way with many Bible studies and church outreaches and opportunities to serve in Costa Rica, like you mentioned, in a sports ministry trip. And, I'm honored to be able to speak at many Fellowship Christian Athlete camps over the years in, like, I think, I don't know, 6 or 7 different states. And, it's been quite a journey, but God keeps creating situations for me to learn and grow. And, it's this time has definitely been that for sure. And, also realizing the simplicity of what God wants us to remember, and that we are his children, and that he has given his son up for us, and been able to utilize that as an opportunity to share the love of Jesus with other people too, which has been really exciting to do. And working in Christian colleges, that's also provided different opportunities for me in sports ministry, but also working in schools that you may not have been able to allow to even speak about the gospel. And so you realize, sometimes your actions and how you interact with people may be the only Bible that anybody ever reads. And so keeping that as a perspective too, when you're in a situation where you can't necessarily preach the gospel openly, but we used to always keep our Bibles on our desks, so that way instead a recruit would bring it up instead of us bringing it up. So that was your loophole. But God has definitely worked throughout my career, and given me a lot of blessings of opportunities to serve him, and really be able to minister to people that really are in tough times. Working with student athletes, sometimes have lost a parent, or working with an athlete who may have, just failed a bunch of tests and needs to change their major and doesn't know what to do. But also maybe just torn their ACL, and, their career is in dangling. They don't know what it's going to look like for the future. And so being able to be in opportunities of presence and that ministry, I think, is also a huge part. And I think that's been very true over the past year, as well as, how can you continue to lead and guide and help serve people around you? And God always offers opportunities for that. It's just a matter of taking advantage of them and going where you're led to.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I love what you said there about owning your faith instead of the family faith, because that's one of the well, it could be a major depending on what happens further in life, but just being raised in a Christian household, or at least any household, to be honest, is that the whole tradition thing where you're brought up in a certain ways, you're expected to go in that same certain way, but after a while, it's like, hey, you got to discover it for yourself, truly for yourself. Because heck, even one of the sayings that my pastor likes to say in church, especially at funerals, that hey, there's no hookups in heaven. Like, we're all gonna have to ask to God for ourselves. We can't have mom or dad, brother, sister, or someone else like speak up for us. It's gonna be basically one on one, and he's gonna have the tape ready. So definitely, I'll let you
Absolutely.
mention that.
Absolutely. And our mission is to make heaven more crowded while we're here. So that's our goal.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Another jewel from the tennis bracelet wrist, baby. Making heaven crowded, baby. That's the mission indeed. Sometimes folks be like, man, we got to keep this exclusive. Nah, this is the opposite. We want your soul to be saved here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a pastor once tell me that, if your goal is every day to make heaven more crowded, how would that change what you did every day? And it just gives you a huge perspective in what you're doing, whether you're interacting with someone at a gas station, a grocery store, or you're on a Zoom session, or, you're just, you're out for a walk and you see a neighbor. Like, that just gives you a different perspective.
Heck yeah, you could be like, hello, neighbor.
Mr. Rogers and all, right?
That's right. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, yes, indeed, some solid stuff. So, since it's far from your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish to be asked more often when you're on the magical podcast, sharing some good stuffs?
Wow, that's a question I've never been asked. That's very interesting. Wow. I think here you go. I can say is what are your favorite things to do when the world isn't shut down? Where's the favorite place to go and relax and enjoy? And my answer would be I am a diehard Disney person. I live about 35 minutes from the Disney parks in Florida. And it's a place that I love to be childlike, just to enjoy the magic of fun, and also being able to serve people. And people laugh at that when you say that, but it's like, you are still serving people no matter where you go. And I'm honored to be able to serve on a fundraising team that actually helps grants wishes to an organization called Give Kids the World. And they are an amazing organization. I run on their fundraising teams and their race teams. And we actually do races at the Disney parks, pre-COVID, of course, but in order to raise funds to be able to grant wishes to really sick kids, to be able to stay at the Give Kids the World Village in Central Florida, to be able to go to visit the parks and the theme parks and visit with Mickey and Minnie and Anna and Elsa and do all their Star Wars, fun as well too. So it's really fun to also be part of an organization that allows me to give back to kids that are sick and do not have oftentimes much time left in their life, to put a smile on their face and to also be a part of a place that I love, and that's Disney. So there's my answer for you.
That's a good one indeed. I love the fact that you said that we're serving no matter where we are, at least you anyway, which is freaking fabulous. That's really the way to live, is through service.
Absolutely.
That's right. And while embracing your inner child as well, because some folks tend to forget that, especially as we do this adulting thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these bills, they keep fighting me. Like, stop trying to fight me. It's like, I wear the potato sack. I'll wear the potato sack. Just stop it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. We got this fabulous book here, your first entry into the business of immortality, looking for a full ride. And if I'm not mistaken, is that based on what you also do as a recruiter? What led you to finally writing and publishing this book?
Well, I've been coaching college for 14 years, and probably for at least 10 of those years, I had been doing recruiting presentations for different clubs, different high schools, travel teams, stuff like that for high schoolers and for school counselors and things like that. And it's so funny. I did those presentations for so long, and inevitably after I do a presentation, somebody would walk up to me and they say, "You need to write a book on this." And for about 10 years, I blew them off and said, "You're hilarious. I don't know the first thing about writing a book." And it's funny because you can appreciate this being a fellow JMTer, is that, I started reading the 15 laws of growth. And it's funny because in that, it actually starts to push you to think beyond yourself and really think of how can you serve people and how can you really stretch yourself. And the 15 laws of growth actually led to me to think, wow, okay, sitting around talking with a couple of my college coaching buddies, we were saying how there was this big gap in the world of college recruiting, that necessarily, high school kids and their families didn't know what college coaches really wanted with the process. They didn't know how to really go about the process, but they actually didn't really know how to get access to those kids to teach them at an early enough age before they actually enter that recruiting age and really walk through it. And so jokingly, it was, I should write a book on that. And fast forward, interviewed 65 college coaches and athletic directors. We have people from the University of Virginia, head women's soccer coach who used to be an assistant with the U.S. women's national team, to a rifle coach from NC State, to a gymnastics coach in Nebraska, the athletic directors at the University of Florida, University of Alabama. And then we have, we've covered 19 different sports, and we have schools you've never heard of intentionally, that they're tiny little small schools, all different divisions. But the idea is to really help kids with the recruiting process and hear from experts who live and breathe recruiting and what they're looking for from high school student athletes to do, and looking beyond the X's and O's as well. It's not just about being a talented athlete and having good grades, but the idea, one of the important factors that they talk about, continuously, and all these coaches I interviewed, was that they really look for resiliency and how do they bounce back from adversity. And I think that was very important for kids to know, not just to write what to write in an email to a college coach, or, what you should do on social media, but also the idea of thinking that the coaches are actually looking for a lot of your mental mindset, and what your thought process is on a daily basis, and who you are in terms of competition. And I think that's been an area that we've been able to really tap into, as well as the important little things of what to include in an email and what to include in a video and social media, what not to do. And also understanding what the NCAA rules are too, and where coaches can speak with you, where they can't, depending on your sport, all those things going on. So, we've really tackled this crazy project. It took about 2 years to really complete, and just getting interviews with people just took a very long time, obviously. But it became a really great resource, and we've literally been able to help thousands of kids find their right fits and not have them, buying into recruiting services that cost thousands of dollars. And instead, this book will just be able to help serve them and understand it. And it's great for school counselors and coaches and parents, especially too, to help them understand what their student athletes should be doing and how they should own the process. And also, what are the common misconceptions that are out there? Most people think they're all going on a full ride. What does that really look like? And, realizing there's academic scholarship money out there. And so we've really been able to tackle a lot of information. And then I run also a Facebook group, actually multiple Facebook groups, but our largest one has about 23,000 people in it. And I'm sure you'll give a link to that, but it's educating parents. It's the idea of helping them understand the process. And then now it's been walking them through, what does this look like with all the challenges that have happened in the recruiting world too, and with COVID as well, with all the shutdowns.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like definitely probably been interesting during the whole COVID thing, because it's like, oh, I guess you had to meet the parents through Zoom, I guess.
Yes, it has been a lot of Zoom calls, and it's been very interesting for a lot of kids. But I think a lot of kids have still found their right fit, and we're in the process with some younger kids right now, and we're hoping they'll be able to have a little bit different recruiting process. But I think it's also made them better. And how do they learn to train? And I always said to all of them, and Tammy even said the same thing, is you're still an athlete, even though your teams may not be playing. What are you doing to show you're an athlete to these coaches? And it may mean backyard soccer, or it may mean hitting against the wall with your tennis ball. But what does it look like for you to show a college coach that you're still an athlete and you're still training and pushing yourself to the next level and that 1% better?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's right. Gotta let them know, hey, you're still an athlete. That means you gotta still work on your craft, sharpen your sword, your skills. That way you can be the best athlete you can be indeed. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Can't be resting on those laurels. Can't be doing it. Yes, right. Because once you do that, the lazy bug will kick in, and then you'll turn into an office chair potato who goes home to be a couch potato.
And that's even if you have a commute at this point.
Yeah, that's right. It could be at home, and you could be dealing with cat traffic. And if you're a little more advanced, you may have Lego traffic too. Oh my goodness. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2021 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, I would have wrote that book much earlier, that's for sure. And I would have probably got mentors in my life much earlier to help me in growing myself as a leader and growing myself as a coach. And I think I probably would have made a little bit more decisions in terms of what makes sense in the next step in my career and what doesn't make sense. And so I think also probably would have stayed to myself, take more vacations and enjoy life a little bit more as well.
Oh yeah, more vacations indeed. That's right. As some call them, most likely me, is the vacations. That's right. That's right.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, for those who may be on a vacation right now outside of cabin fever, or heck, even in their own mind with some beach sounds from YouTube in their headphones, and they need some good beach reads or actual good reads, period, for their kids, what's the best way, folks, to reach out to you and buy hundreds of copies of your books?
Well, you can purchase my book at lookingforafullride.com, lookingforafullride.com. And if you are interested, we have over 40 blogs on the college recruiting process, also on my website, and tons of other resources at rlopezcoaching.com. And if you're interested in individual consulting or asking for me to come and speak to one of your groups, whether it's in leadership development or in team cohesion or in the college recruiting process, you can email me at info@lookingforafullride.com, info@lookingforafullride.com. And I also do individual consulting as well for families and also for leaders in developing them and coaching them to take the next step and grow themselves.
Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to the wonderful Radiant Renee's fabulous site. It's going to be on the show notes too. Link to the Facebook group too. If you got some magical kids you're trying to get recruited to join the pyramid, I mean, the magical university that'll change their life forever when they do the work and apply their lives to the best they can do. Check it all out in the show notes and buy some copies of the book too, so that way you can learn some tips and tricks. And as Renee and the other folks in the book pull the curtain behind a little bit, and you get to see, all right, so this is what I should do, this is what I shouldn't do. All right, don't give this professor a penguin, like all this good stuff that you're going to find in all of her material.
Thanks so much for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. The pleasure's all mine, especially with all the plums. So, any thoughts before we close up the magical shop?
No, I think I encourage everyone to serve someone today and figure out ways that may look like in your neighborhood differently than it may look like in your work community, but find a way to serve somebody and check out Give Kids the World, amazing organization that if you're ever in the Orlando area, go and take a tour and go and see some of the kids, the smiles on their faces, and you're going to want to help raise money for Make-A-Wish Foundation just to help these kids experience some great smiles and fun.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode. Heck, even shoot myself or the guest an email and let them know what you liked most about this interview, so that way they can stay inspired to keep pushing out great work.